Black Rock Beach, a secluded stretch of coastline, known for its treacherous currents and jagged cliffs, had always been a place of eerie beauty. The locals whispered tales of shipwrecks and ghostly apparitions, but few took them seriously. That changed one summer when a group of friends decided to camp there for the night. It was a calm evening when Emily, Jack, Sarah, and Mike set up their tents near the cliffs. As the sun dipped below the horizon, they built a bonfire and shared stories, the crackling flames casting flickering shadows around them. Sarah, always the skeptic, laughed off the legends of Black Rock Beach. "You guys really believe in those ghost stories?" She scoffed. "There's no such thing as ghosts." Just as she finished speaking, a chill wind swept across the beach, extinguishing their fire. The sudden darkness was unnerving, but they managed to relight it. They decided to take turns keeping watch, just in case the wind returned. Emily was the first to keep watch. As she sat by the fire, she thought she saw a figure in the distance, standing at the water's edge. She blinked, and it was gone. She convinced herself it was a trick of the light and woke Jack for his turn. Jack was less easily spooked. He walked along the shore, keeping an eye out for anything unusual. The sound of the waves was soothing, but then he heard something else, a faint whispering. He couldn't make out the words, but it sounded like someone calling for help. He strained his ears, but the whispering stopped. Shaking his head, he returned to the fire and woke Sarah for her watch. Sarah sat by the fire, determined to prove her bravery. She stared out at the ocean, daring any ghost to show itself. As the minutes ticked by, she began to relax. Just as she was about to dismiss the whole thing as silly, she saw it, a woman in a tattered dress, standing on the cliffs above. The woman's hair blew wildly in the wind, and her eyes seemed to glow in the dark. Sarah froze, her heart pounding. The woman lifted a hand and pointed towards the sea, her mouth opening in a silent scream. Then, she vanished. Terrified, Sarah ran back to the others, waking them in a panic. They all stayed up together after that, huddled by the fire. Just before dawn, they heard it, a mournful wailing carried on the wind. The sound grew louder and louder until it was all around them. The friends clung to each other, staring out into the darkness. Suddenly, the wailing stopped, replaced by the sound of crashing waves. When the first light of morning touched the beach, they packed up and left, vowing never to return. As they climbed into their car, they noticed something chilling. Written in the sand were the words, "Leave and never come back."
Years later, they found out the truth. A century ago, a ship had wrecked on the rocks, and many lives were lost, including a woman searching for her lost child. The locals believed her spirit still roamed the beach, looking for her child and warning others of the dangers. Black Rock Beach remained a place of eerie beauty, its ghostly guardian a reminder of the tragic past. Fisherman's Cove was a quaint beach town, known for its serene shores and vibrant marine life. But beneath its picturesque facade lay a dark secret that only the oldest residents dared to speak of. The legend of the drowned fisherman. Decades ago, a fisherman named Thomas was caught in a fierce storm while out at sea. Despite the townsfolk's best efforts to rescue him, Thomas's boat capsized, and he was never seen again. Ever since that tragic night, strange occurrences plagued Fisherman's Cove, especially around the anniversary of his disappearance. One summer, a family from the city decided to spend their vacation at Fisherman's Cove, the Johnsons' Mark. Lisa and their teenage son, Danny, rented a small beachfront cottage. They had heard the legends but dismissed them as mere folklore. Their first few days were filled with sun and fun. However, as the anniversary of Thomas's disappearance approached, things took a sinister turn. It started with small, inexplicable events, the sound of footsteps on the empty beach at night, wet footprints appearing on the dry sand, and the distant sound of a man singing an old sea shanty. One evening, Danny decided to take a walk along the beach, hoping to capture some beautiful sunset photos. As he wandered further from the cottage, he noticed an old, weathered fishing boat partially buried in the sand. Curious, he approached it and saw something strange. A set of fresh footprints leading from the boat to the water. But no one was around. Feeling a chill down his spine, Danny turned to leave, but found himself face to face with a man in old-fashioned fishing gear. The man's eyes were hollow, and his skin was deathly pale, dripping with seawater. Danny's heart raced as he realized he was staring at the ghost of Thomas. The apparition spoke in a haunting whisper, "Find my boat. Save me from the deep." Terrified, Danny ran back to the cottage, barely able to speak. His parents dismissed his story as an overactive imagination. But the next day, strange things started happening in their cottage. Doors slammed shut on their own. Objects moved inexplicably, and the air grew cold and damp. Determined to find answers, Danny researched the legend of the drowned fisherman and discovered that Thomas's boat was never recovered. According to local lore, his spirit was trapped until someone could find his boat and give him a proper burial. Danny convinced his parents to help him search the beach. They found the old fishing boat Danny had seen, partially uncovered by the shifting sands. Inside, they discovered a rusted anchor with Thomas's initials carved into it. That night, they held a small ceremony on the beach, placing the anchor in the water and saying a prayer for Thomas. As they did, a sudden gust of wind swept through the cove, and the ghostly figure of Thomas appeared once more, this time with a peaceful expression. "Thank you," he whispered before fading away. From that day forward, the strange occurrences at Fisherman's Cove ceased. The Johnsons finished their vacation in peace, knowing they had helped lay a restless spirit to rest. The legend of the drowned fisherman lived on, but now it was a tale of redemption and closure, reminding everyone of the mysteries that lie beneath the waves. Sunset Beach was known for its tranquil beauty, with golden sands stretching as far as the eye could see, and the sound of gentle waves lapping at the shore. It was a popular destination for families, especially during the summer months. However, beneath its idyllic surface lay a dark history that many visitors were unaware of. Years ago, a tragic accident occurred at Sunset Beach. A group of children from a nearby summer camp went missing during a beach outing. Despite an extensive search, their bodies were never found. Locals believed the children had drowned, but some whispered of more sinister forces at play. One summer, the Johnson family decided to vacation at Sunset Beach. Emily and her younger brother, Jake, were excited to explore the beach and make new friends. Their parents, Sarah and Michael, looked forward to relaxing and unwinding from their hectic city lives. On their second day, Emily and Jake met a group of children playing near an old, abandoned lighthouse at the far end of the beach. The children were friendly, but seemed strangely out of place, dressed in outdated clothing and speaking in an old-fashioned manner. They invited Emily and Jake to play with them, and soon the siblings were engrossed in a game of hide and seek. As the sun began to set, Emily and Jake realized it was time to head back to their parents. They said goodbye to their new friends and made their way back to the cottage. That night, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about the children they had met. The next day, Emily and Jake returned to the lighthouse, hoping to see their new friends again. But the children were nowhere to be found. Instead, they found a weathered photograph of the missing children from the old newspaper clippings their parents had shown them the night before. Emily's heart raced as she recognized the faces in the photo. They were the same children they had played with the previous day. Terrified, Emily and Jake ran back to their parents and told them everything. Sarah and Michael were skeptical, but decided to investigate the lighthouse. As they approached the old structure, a chilling breeze swept through the air, and they heard faint whispers carried on the wind. Inside the lighthouse, they found more old photographs and personal items belonging to the missing children. The atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive, and Sarah felt a sudden, overwhelming sadness. She realized that the spirits of the lost children were still trapped at Sunset Beach, unable to move on, determined to help. Sarah and Michael organized a small memorial service on the beach, inviting other families to join them in honoring the memory of the lost children. They placed flowers and toys near the lighthouse and said a prayer for their souls. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the air grew still, and a sense of peace settled over Sunset Beach. That night, Emily and Jake dreamt of the children, smiling and waving goodbye. When they woke up, they felt a profound sense of relief, knowing that the spirits of the lost children had finally found peace. The Johnson family left Sunset Beach with a newfound appreciation for the mysteries of the past and the importance of remembering those who had gone before. From that summer on, the beach remained a place of beauty and serenity, its dark history gradually fading into legend.